Hello, friends. You've stumbled across a short clip from the Daily Switch 2 podcast, which, believe it or not, is a podcast that is about the Switch 2 with new episodes released daily. What will they think of next? Dragon Ball Sparking Zeros. I heard many people saying Sparkling Zero. No, Sparking Zero. And for some reason, Sparking has an exclamation mark afterwards. This is developed by Spike Chunsoft. It's published by Bandai Namco. It's available for Switch 1 and Switch 2. That actually kind of surprised me. We'll get onto that. There's physical releases for both, which is great news. It's available on November the 14th. So it's releasing this year. It's great that we have a release date. Obviously, it's a fighting game, but in that kind of Dragon Ball crazy aerial fighting, magic attacks, etc. way, not in a kind of, 1v1 Street Fighter kind of way. As I mentioned in the live reaction, I haven't watched Dragon Ball since, I don't know, probably the late 90s, so I'm very much not up to date with the goings-on of Dragon Ball, but I did used to think Dragon Ball was really cool, and I still do like the aesthetics and the ideas. I just, it's obviously it's iconic, and the lore and, has had so much influence on video games and everything else along the way, but it's just, there's so much of it, it's impossible to keep up. Well, not impossible, but impossible for me to keep up. I feel a bit like, like One Piece. It's like, if you haven't been watching it all the way through, it's just overwhelmingly impossible to go back and catch up, isn't it? My initial impressions on seeing the footage were really good, as you probably heard. Over 180 playable characters. That's incredible. Although being Dragon Ball, many of them are variants of the same character or very, very similar looking art styles. They're all related to each other, aren't they? All kind of different alternate universe versions, etc. You can tell I don't know anything about Dragon Ball, modern Dragon Ball. I think it's Dragon Ball Z that I used to watch mostly, but I don't know. I did in the 80s or early 90s watch some Dragon Ball. I genuinely don't remember. It's been such a long time. It says there's episode battle for iconic moments, or dream battle scenarios in custom battle. So what I took from that is there's over 180 characters from presumably pretty much every era of Dragon Ball, and you can recreate iconic battles from specific episodes along the way to relive those kind of iconic moments, or you can create your own kind of ultimate dream battle scenario. Like, what if this character from this series fought this character from this series? So again, I think that's really cool. I thought the graphics looked really good as well. I was actually surprised when I saw that it was on Switch 1 too, because I just thought it looked really good. The footage was obviously the Switch 2 footage. Looked very smooth, looked really nice. Doing some digging, as I said, there will be a physical release for both Switch 1 and 2, although unfortunately Switch 2 will be a game keycard. It's from Bandai Namco, who have a mixed history on the Switch 2 of some of their games coming full physical only on Switch 1, but they offer a free upgrade to the Switch 2 version, and the Switch 2 version's coming sometimes on a keycard, sometimes even coming on a code in a box, but that's for the lower priced games. In this case, it does say that if you buy the Switch 1 version, you can upgrade to the Switch 2 version. It doesn't mention any price. It doesn't mention whether it's free or whether there's an extra charge yet. But it's fantastic. Kudos to Bandai Namco for the shelf collectors who want a physical game on the cartridge. It's great that you can, if you want to, buy the Switch 1 version, but then have the option to upgrade it to the Switch 2 version for playing on your Switch 2. So kudos to Bandai Namco there, even though we don't know if it's a free upgrade yet, or whether there will be a charge. But they have offered free upgrades for some of their other games, for example, Shadow Labyrinth. Prices start at $60, but there are standard deluxe and ultimate versions, there are DLC and season passes. I can't actually see prices for any of that confirmed yet, though, other than the $60 base price. So that makes me very hesitant as to how expensive the deluxe and ultimate versions are going to be, and what's included, and DLC and season passes, etc. So does that mean that those over 180 playable characters are only if you have the ultimate version and only if you buy all the DLC? If so, that's a real shame, because that 180 playable character number was what really impressed me right away when I saw that trailer. I was like, oh wow, okay, this is going to be really expansive. It's a bit of a shame if, in order to get that kind of ultimate Dragon Ball experience for the real hardcore fans who can relive every single possible scenario that they could possibly think of, it looks like the standard version might not be what you want. You might have to pay extra. I don't know. It does say there's a pre-order to get 6 characters early unlock, but thankfully those 6 characters aren't exclusive to the pre-order. You can unlock them through gameplay. So as I said with the Katamari stuff, I actually think that's really cool. I don't like it when stuff is hidden behind pre-orders. So pre-ordering will unlock the stuff early, but you can unlock them later even if you don't pre-order. So that's pretty good. It does look like there's one exclusive playable character if you pre-order. So I'm not too keen on that, but it's only one character out of 180 plus, so your mileage may vary as to how much you care about that specific character. I don't know who it is. I don't know anything about it. I looked at it. It just looks like Goku to me. I don't know. But sorry to any Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z hardcore who are banging their head against a brick wall right now going, no, it's not. That's something really important. I don't know. Sorry. It doesn't look like the pre-orders are currently live on the eShop yet. So even though there's all this talk about pre-ordering and what you can get and all these different versions being available, the reason why I can't tell you how much the deluxe or the ultimate versions cost is because it's not live on the eShop yet. So we don't know what the prices are. I don't know when those will go live. As I said, the game comes out on November 14th. One thing that was a little bit confusing, they went into in almost too much detail in the trailer, not in the direct itself, but in the trailer that they've put up there, is the upgrade path. Seemingly it's not 100% simple, but it's good that they're laying it all out there to make sure that people don't get it twisted, don't end up being disappointed. So basically, when you upgrade from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 version, your game progress and unlocks, things that you've earned and unlocked in the game, do transfer, but things like your fight replays, custom battles that you've made, or online battle records, which might be important to some, will not transfer from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 version. And once you've upgraded to the Switch 2 version, also any online battle records don't... You'll only be able to compare records with other people who are playing the Switch 2 version rather than the Switch 1. And I can kind of understand that, actually, because I certainly assume that the Switch 1 version will have a worse frame rate and maybe some pitching issues. So it's not really fair to have people from playing at the full 60 FPS, really smooth Switch 2 version against what might be maybe a 30 FPS with frame hitching on the Switch 1. I'm not saying that's going to be the case. I don't know. I'm just speculating that maybe that's a reason why they thought it wasn't a good idea to have Switch 1 and Switch 2 people competing against each other for online records. Where am I going to put it in the tier list? Well, because of all this DLC and season passes, etc., and the prices, even though we don't know the prices, the base version starts at 60, so it's only going to get more expensive from there. I'm going to mark it down But I still think that for a fan of the series, this genuinely does look like it could be the absolute ultimate Dragon Ball game. And even as just a very, very casual person who knows Dragon Ball the brand but hasn't watched it since the 90s, I actually looked at it and thought it looked like something that I might want to play. Certainly if it was ever available for, on sale at a more reasonable price, I certainly might give it a go. I did think it looked really cool. So I'm going to put it in B tier for now. B tier. Well, that was funny / sad / informative / stupid, wasn't it? Feel free to mentally redact to make that make sense with the clip that you just heard. I don't know what it was. I'm just recording a bumper. But if you enjoyed the clip, please give it a like. If you'd like to hear more, click subscribe, and you can find all the ways to listen to and support the full daily podcast at linktree/dailyswitch2. That's linktr.ee/dailyswitch2. Let's go! Did I sound like I mean that? I do. I really do.